Let's go! Who's up?
Go.
Welcome, Internet, to the Xbox Empire podcast, part of the Play Some Video Games network of podcasts. I'm Elaine. That's Donnie. He really enjoys messing with me on the intros now. Like, oh, wait, look, I forgot
We're live.
to count you in. We're live. Surprise! Surprise, we're live is not... Girls don't like that, Donnie. Like, we're not fans. You know? Come on. Bro, give me a break here. Just... You're killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. How's your week going, dude? How's it going?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
I've been in class all week. The most concerning part is Melissa's sick. And she's got all kinds of respiratory stuff and like light fever stuff and flu stuff. And when she went to the doctor, her physician had the same stuff. And her physician, like, apparently, according to her, as the story goes, mid-assessing Melissa, she herself was sent home by the other doctor.
Wow,
Yeah.
George is doing great.
Yeah.
It's
so
going really well down there.
I don't know what to do. She got a rapid test that was negative, but we're waiting for her official test. And hopefully it's just sinuses, but either way, I don't know if I'm going to sleep in my bed tonight.
There are colds going around like wildfire too right now
course.
because everybody's not
Masks.
been around people. Yeah, and
Take the mask off.
No,
That's
I
the craziest thing is we put masks on and we had historic all-time lows of influenza and most every respiratory. Like, it really painted the pictures.
Yeah.
Like, we should probably just wear masks.
I don't think that I will stop wearing my KN95 on public transit. Because my kids went to school for years and they got sick, but I usually didn't pick their germs up because with their stuff that they were exposed to, I had gotten some immunity over the years. But man, going to an office in Philadelphia, riding the train packed every day, that's where I think I got most of my personal illness. So I'm just going to wear my, I don't care. I'll be the weirdo on the train forever, y'all. You know, I don't give. I'll just put, if you can read this, you're too close right on the front of my
That's
mask
good.
in Sharpie. Back up.
I've got something else I want to talk to you about, but I mean, before I segue off of this, I mean, we're seeing all of the mask mandates and everything go back up. I know here in our city, we just posted, I think our government's going to do the same. So folks out there, be careful, be safe.
Be safe, please.
So I'm glad you mentioned your kids because you're a mom.
Kids.
You've done the kids thing for a while.
Yeah.
I'm about 2 hours away removed, talk about Xbox therapy session, from just a giant argument with my daughter yet again. Elaine, I don't know if I can do this. The teenage daughter thing is putting me on the, and it has been for like 2 years, but it's like now I'm just like, I'll just quit. Like, you just do whatever you want.
When people ask me what the hardest thing about being a mom is, I often say that I'll have a teenage girl in a few years. Like, I'm terrified. I'm so scared. I was such a difficult individual.
It's such a
at
level
age.
of energy that I'm just not ready to meet.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't go that far. I don't have it in me to go that far. So maybe you can tell me, because I don't know if I feel like a bad parent.
Probably not, but hit me with it.
I think it probably so. It's probably more of my upbringing than anything. But we got in a huge fight because tomorrow is open house. Melissa's sick as a dog.
Okay, right.
I never want to go to open house. That sounds miserable. And my kids are freaking out that they're going to miss open house. I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, we have to go to open house. I'm like, no, you don't. I never went to open house in all my, I think I went once in all of my years and totally fine. Like, didn't miss a beat. Like, got to school, got my schedule, found my class, found my bus. Like, it's never totally okay, right?
I grew up in New Jersey and we didn't have it.
You don't even have it.
We don't have it. We just go to school on the first day. I don't know about my kids'
that's the
school, but when
thing.
I was a kid, we didn't have it.
I
just showed up.
And I'm trying to explain because my daughter's losing it. Like, the idea that she doesn't go to open house. I don't know. And I think that's it. It's like this level of, I don't know the right word. And I don't want to be mean to my daughter. I love you. If you ever listen to the show, she's never going to listen to the show, but
It could be social anxiety too. Like for me, I'm gonna tell you this as a person with diagnosed general anxiety disorder who takes meds for it. Sometimes stuff like that helps my anxiety going into a new thing. So for her, she could just be being a difficult teenager. She could be starved for social interaction that these kids missed a lot out on over the last year, and she could be anxious. Just to paint you a more even picture of what could be going on here. You know,
whether I'm a bad parent or not, I can't take her anyway, because I have a standing 4 o'clock every Thursday with the county manager that usually lasts 90 minutes. I can't leave.
Why do you work for Monsters?
So now
4 o'clock on a Thursday? Yeah.
Now she's planning to, like, I don't know, go with a neighbor, which makes me feel like I'm going to be painted as like this awful parent that won't take them. But here, I guess, and this is why me and my daughter always butt heads, because we're so stubborn.
Oh, really?
First of all, I'm tired of fighting for, like, I can never just make a decision in my house anymore. Is that like just normal dad? Like, do you just come to this realization that, like, no matter what, just whatever you want is just out the window?
I don't know.
If I'm not fighting her, I'm fighting the wife. If I'm not fighting her, I'm fighting the son. If I'm not fighting them, like, it just feels like a constant fight. So
I think, as the parent who makes most of the decisions in my house, because my husband's like, yeah, whatever, I'm always fighting with people too. And eventually, yes, it gets exhausting. Yeah, because I'm the bad cop, if you will. I'm the decision maker.
I just reached like this level, and that's exactly, I reached this level of exhaustion today. I was like, look, just fine. Do whatever you want. Like,
do whatever you want.
You know, it's just like, I don't know what else to do. Like, can you just listen to me once? Can you just take my advice? And it's like, they've always gone, because it's funny, because I was making fun of Melissa. She was like, I never missed open house. I'm like, of course you didn't. And I'm sure your mom got every item on every list and every checkbox. No offense, because you guys are like complete squares. You're like the Beaver Cleaver family over here. I was like,
hey,
as
that
somebody,
was me too. You're killing me.
As somebody who didn't do those things, I assure you that it will be okay. And
it will be fine. But like I said, sometimes it makes people feel good.
But there's a part of me, there's a deep part of me, and I don't know why. I think you know what? I think I do know why. I shouldn't even have said that. I've always felt this way. There's a part of me that feels like I'm doing a disservice to my children just a little bit. I'm not saying I want to, but like they just don't, they have no grind. They have no like make the most of a, you know, of a bad, not a bad situation. I don't want to put them in a bad situation. You know, do you feel like when I don't even know how I can explain what I'm trying to say.
I know, like I know what you mean, but I know exactly what you mean, because I came from a relatively middle class. I won't say cushy. We didn't have a lot of money, but everything was very secure and everything was fine. Here's what I will say. I had plenty of grind later in my life, because that's the way life works, right? So they will have those moments.
Yeah, but didn't you?
We all
was that
have
like
those
a really hard adjustment for you then?
Sure, but that's part of like living. Like
sure.
You eventually the kids have to go out and figure it out and make their own mistakes, and it's okay to have it be a little cushy and safe until they're 18. Like the teachers don't even want to go to open house. No, of course they don't. Get out.
There's a deep part of me. This is like my stubborn blood. I just want them to not go, to show them that it's possible. It's like just take me up on it. Like, let's live on the edge just a little. You know, let's color outside the lines.
This is your version. This is your version of living on the edge.
Well, I mean, it's not my version. This is my kids' version. Like, this would be their version of that to this point. Like, that's the thing that I feel like I'm like, I'm like, I don't know how ready you guys are. Like, if this is the thing that brings you stress, like missing open house, is that supposed to be to me, like that shouldn't be a moment that causes anybody any sort of reaction. It's like, that's really
I don't
small.
know. Like I said, I didn't even have it as a kid. Like, if it was me, we wouldn't go year to year. Like, I would just
life is full of stuff way harder than missing open house.
I wouldn't go,
and for whatever reason, I feel like an outcast in my family unit saying that.
That's fair. I'm decidedly lazy, and so anything that I don't think that we should have to do, we just don't.
So
and my kids are used to that. They're just like, okay, I guess we're not going, and it's been fine. So I think they just are used to it.
I've even had to explain it to the wife. I'm like, look, I was like, you go to open house, you get your schedule. I was like, you're going to go meet every teacher and they're going to give you a packet of papers. I was like, when you go to the first day of school, they're going to have those schedules on the wall. and you're going to meet every one of those teachers, and they're going to give them a bunch of piece of paper. Like it's redundant at best, and at worst, you'll get it covered. It'll get covered.
I don't think we ever had it. I just went to school and I brought the papers home and Mom filled them out. We didn't have it.
Same.
And both my parents worked. Dad worked during the day and Mom worked overnight, so she slept during the day. So there was no going.
My daughter was freaking out. She's like, "What will I know what I need?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you need? We know what
pencils
you need.
and paper and some 3-ring binders,
a couple folders. Like we'll catch it. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine."
What are you prepping for?
I used to bring the school list home on the first day. If we had supplies. This is the weirdest, like, I'm having deep traumatic flashbacks to my childhood. Oh, I don't like it. I don't like it. I got picked on in school. I don't like this.
So listeners, Discord members, folks, let me know. Am I crazy?
I'm curious.
Am I being harsh? Is this bad parenting?
Twitter, how many of you guys did not have this nonsense?
Because honestly, I think recommending something so out of the norm, like don't go to open house, that feels like at face value, like if I was to tweet that, I feel like people would be angry. Like I feel like that's, like that's not something a good parent would say. And a good parent would be like, you got to go to open house, you got to meet all the teachers, got to get to know their names and everything. I'm like, I'm not doing any of that.
I don't want to do that. Sean is making a good point in chat. I was always excited about the start of a new school year. That's always the flip. I was very anxious. I was very anxious about the starts of school years. So stuff like this, if we had it, I probably would have wanted to go because I like to know.
I still think you'd be anxious the first day of school with or without.
Oh, absolutely. But in my brain,
I know, and that's the hard part. Is in my daughter's. I can't reach my daughter's brain. You know what I was told today? I hadn't went to school in so long, and it was completely different now. And that was the last thing I wanted to hear.
She's not wrong.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. I'm pretty sure I'm not completely foreign to what open house is.
I mean, yes, but I mean, for a teenager, you're ancient. You're more than double her age.
Oh my God, double.
I know.
Most parents are triple or quadruple their children's age. I'm just double.
You're a child.
If anything, I'm like her big friend.
Her big friend.
Yeah, I'm like her slightly older friend.
Mom's the jerks. Dad's the big friend.
You'd be seen. Okay, Adam says you'd be seen as the outcast if you're not at open house.
I mean, if you're the only kid who doesn't go, but there's no way you're the only kid that doesn't go.
Okay, so maybe this is wrong. Maybe this is you
might be wrong about this.
This might be more evident about where I went to school. But when I went to school and where I went to school, most people did not go to open house. And it's not because they didn't want to. It's because they couldn't, man.
If you live in a middle class ass area, people don't miss open house and things like that. Like when my kids were in the Catholic school, which they are no longer in, we would if we missed a event, we would often be like one of only one or two families that would miss it.
Oh, wow! So this is the opposite.
And that was a thing. Like when I was growing up.
Yeah, but you didn't know you can't go to the open house and then know all the kids that are there.
Oh well,
they're all strangers.
The kids know each other, though.
Unless they all grew up together.
Yeah, they're traveling year to year through school. They know each other.
Yeah, that might be another part of it. I moved a lot.
Yeah,
I moved
that's
a lot.
Different. You don't have the experience of it always being the same kids. It was always the same kids for me growing up. Yeah.
Maybe I could be more sympathetic to their cause. I kind of want them. I want them to face adversity better. I'm talking, Elaine, tears, screams, arms. I'm just like.
I agree with you, but don't introduce it and make it introduce needless anxiety into the life of a teenager.
That's probably wise advice.
That's what I'm saying to you.
It's probably wise advice.
Being a teenager in 2021, dealing with social media, bullying, that's different from the way we grew up. Find the sympathy level in the middle. And yes, adversity is good. Teach them how to go make a deposit at the bank. Make them call and make their own doctor's appointment for their yearly checkup. Teach them those things, but don't throw them in the deep end on like something that's an easy solve.
If they want.
It's for them. That's how they. Look, sir. I'm talking about how they see it. They freak it out.
Yeah, this is the part where I have a really hard time connecting. Like the deep end.
They freaking out.
This isn't even in the pool.
If you don't want to be seen as the crappy dad, go talk to the neighbor and be like, "Look, I got to work. Can you take my kids?"
I know I could care less.
Let them go.
I don't care what other people that I don't routinely interface with think about me at all. They think I'm the worst dad ever.
Oh, I walk into the Catholic school we're in public school now. I fit right in, but like for a while, I was the mom with the motorcycle and the tattoos. I did not fit in.
Yeah.
I did not. I don't care, but kids care.
I'm
and
sure we'll
being a
get them
teenager
there.
Is hard.
Yeah. Ultimately, I frustrated or exhausted, or I don't know the right word, but ultimately, I just, man, every now and again, I'd like to just be like, try my idea, and it actually like happen. It feels like it never happens. I'm like 0 for 10. I'm batting 100 out here. Like it never happens. It's so rare.
Just wait till they grow up and move out and need your help with something. They'll listen then. They'll listen then. Because I didn't start listening to my parents until I like it was. Oh God, how do I live in the world? You know what I mean?
I think the harder part, and we will get to eventually, we'll get to the Xbox show, but
I promise we'll get to video games. Calm down, people.
As a kid, I was pretty like rebellious, but also like I didn't like
You
just.
don't say.
But here's the thing, though, I didn't just like buck authority. That was never like my deal. Like if I was almost
Right.
like rigid to the rules. Like if you were like, here are like the boundaries you can operate in, I was solid.
Oh, you were just.
You
okay.
never had to really worry about me in terms of that. It was like so like I didn't have that fight everything to the last inch thing that I think so many people associate with teenagers. Now my wife did, and I witnessed some of that, and that was special. But it's hard. It's really hard.
You got to find the middle on teenagers. You got to find the. Let me give you advice, and I don't have teenagers yet, but I remember being one in a relatively middle class household. Find the fights worth having. They're not all worth having, and go in on those. This one's not worth having.
Yeah, you're probably
there will
right.
be one that's worth having.
But I feel like I feel like we fight on everything, and I feel like I lose them all.
So the problem is you're fighting them on everything, right? Some of it you just got to let pass by.
Sure.
If it's not worth fighting. Then when the fight comes up, they're like, "Oh, Dad's fighting me. This must be real." Do you know what I mean? It's shock and awe.
I might try that. I might try that.
Shock and awe. I don't know. What else have you done? Have you played video games?
How was your
You
week
just fought
before
with
we get into
teenagers?
that? How was your week? I didn't ask you.
Work's on fire.
Still?
Oh,
This has been like 6 straight weeks.
I'm a consultant. It never ends.
Never?
It's just I keep getting bounced. Like I have now 6 client projects that I'm working on, and so it's like it's Russian roulette of which one's on fire this week. That's what it feels like. I'm tired and a little frustrated.
I feel like you just went on vacation. You need another one. I feel that for you, and I'm not even you.
We're gonna take a long weekend and go up to Niagara Falls at the end of August. We're gonna go camping in October out in PA. I'm gonna disconnect for the days that I do those things, but yeah, I've gotten better about putting on my do not disturb a little earlier.
Sure.
For the sake of really those around me, for their health and well-being.
Yep.
It's fine. Life's pretty good. The kids are I think the 11-year-old is hitting the puberty. So I've been getting a lot of back talk from a child that does not do that.
My son's starting to get a little lippy.
He do be testing me. So sometimes I need to count backwards from 10 and take a lap around the house. Just, serenity now. You know? So, but I've discovered that, like, if I go and play video games, he stops fighting with me and just kind of migrates into my space and hangs out. So I found that's what happened. I played Death's Door obsessively over like 4 days, right?
Ooh.
And I just couldn't stop playing it.
Of course.
I just couldn't stop playing. And he ended up sitting in the basement cheering me on during the final boss fight for the first time. A positive interaction between us for the first time like all week. So I was like, sweet. So the kids really enjoyed watching me play that one. I obsessed about that game. Did you obsess about that game?
Borderline.
Did you just want to keep playing it? Because I just wanted to keep playing.
I loved it. Okay, so to update last week's show to now, I've beaten the game. Since swapping controllers, I didn't have nearly as much issue with the rest of the game. So I can't update you with that. I'm pretty sure I think it was the controller. Because I breezed right through the next boss. I actually breezed through most of the bosses until the final boss. I died a few times on the final boss. The final boss was... I wouldn't go as far as saying frustrating. I actually appreciate Acid Nerve and as for making that as forgiving as they did, because it could have been worse. Had they changed some of the requirements, it could have been much worse. But it was challenging. It was taxing. It took me a few tries. I think I died 7-8 times.
Yeah, I needed a couple shots at it too. the traditional sort of Soulsborne type of boss where you can get very easily get greedy and get stomped.
Yeah,
Like
that's a good way of putting it.
do you know what I mean? Like it's if you don't slow down and take your pot shots and stick and move, you just get run over.
I got
And
into the pattern of knowing
yes.
exactly what the boss was doing. I had it all basically in my head, and I almost kind of kept like just kind of speaking it to myself.
I
I
did
was
the
like,
same
you
thing.
know,
I
like,
would
all right,
count.
chase, roll. And I was like, all right,
Yep.
he's going to do this where you back away. He's going to do this where you back away.
Yep.
Now do your shots. And I
Right.
got to the point where I could safely get three hits in. And I just did that over and over and over and over and over
Yep.
again. And I eventually just got through just kind of doing it like that. I actually wouldn't say that was even the hardest boss.
No, the one before that was
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah.
There is a boss, the last of the three big souls. I'll say
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah.
The last of the three big souls, not the boss right before the final boss. That one wasn't
Good
bad.
point. No, that was, I actually really liked, that was very like
That was
artful.
awesome.
It was like really
Awesome.
cool to look at. So here's the thing. I love the story. I think this
too.
game was about as challenging as a game as I would want. If it was more
Yeah.
challenging, I think I might have put it down. It was, and I talked about that the first time, even with the
Yes.
controller apparently that was drifting. Now, by the way, apparently my green controller just busted. I need a new controller. Because once I switched controllers, I had no issues. I love the exploration in the game. I found so many extras. I really enjoyed doing that, especially the garden. The garden is full of them. There's
Yes.
secrets and tunnels galore once you expand
Yep.
your inventory. So I had a
If you-
blast doing all that.
If you go in, there's a funny little restaurant that you can go to, and if you sit down and have soup there, that server will give you kind of some of those hints
Yeah.
about where you can find certain things, and I enjoyed that a little bit. But yeah, once you get all the abilities, once you double back into the garden, you can start like,
It's really
oh, I see where I can.
it's really fun, like how compacted and dense that area is with stuff. Like
Agree.
I felt like smart for finding them all. I
Me
feel like I'm
too.
pretty sure like 100% of the garden. I feel like I did. I think I got everything there that is the get.
Did you 100% the game, the save file?
No, once I finished, I definitely knew that there was a second ending, and I just watched it on YouTube. Dev was
Okay.
in my DMs. He's like, "You doing the?" I was like, "Absolutely not." Like
I have not done it yet. I know it exists. I haven't done it yet.
I did
will. I will.
2 of the spell upgrades, but not the other 2. So,
Okay.
yeah, and I would say that it's probably my game of the year contender. I really dug the story and how it was
Me too.
told. The music and the graphics are incredible. They're great. But the story was much better than and actually like much more meaningful than I ever anticipated
Agree.
it being. Like you just see it and you think like, oh, it's like, you know, artsy arcade game. It's like kind of way
It's-
deeper than that.
It's so much more than that, and it's both very serious and somber and also very funny
Yeah,
all
it
at
is very
once,
funny.
which is there's a very hard line to toe where you don't take it too far funny
tactful.
where it loses its yeah, I agree. I actually think it's got one of my favorite soundtracks in a long time. Like if a vinyl record comes out for this game, I will purchase it.
I'd
It
agree
is-
with that.
It is haunting in places in a way that like Dark Souls is. It sits in the background.
The
so
garden music
nicely.
reminded
so
me of
good.
like The Godfather.
Yep. Yes. Yes. And even like some of the later, even the music that's playing in the Hall of Doors, like your hub
Yeah.
world, it sits in the background in this like perfectly mixed way where it never feels too loud. It always feels like it sits in the atmosphere so nicely. That's a really hard thing to do. Like music in games has a tendency to be too much or not enough, and for it to float right in the. I mean, it's very artful, and I was very impressed with the soundtrack. This is one of my favorite games I've played in quite a minute.
I'd agree.
Actually,
And it held up. I think it holds up strong from beginning to end.
agree.
It doesn't really
Yep.
lull at any point, and like the entire ride, like it's pretty good all the way through.
Pacing's excellent too.
Yeah.
Just when you think you're frustrated, you will almost always break through, and then it will be different on the other side of that part, and it will change. It's so good. I was in a game funk for most of this calendar year where I have not finished a game in months. And this is the first one that grabbed a hold of me, and I just like, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful that this came out when it did. So good. So good. Did you play anything else? Did you dip
I've been
into
playing
anything?
The Last Stop.
That's like a adventure type game, right?
It's the Annapurna Interactive joint that you were eyeing
Yes.
back at E3.
Yep.
It's on Game Pass.
Oh baby.
I played it. When I first saw it, it kind of reminded me of a game that I played a couple years ago called State of Mind.
Oh
And,
yes.
I don't know what So when they first showed the commercials or the trailers for the game, like I kind of got it, right? You got these different characters, or these stories that are being intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure like how they're intertwined was what they were holding back on, because I didn't expect this game to be anything like what it is, and that's a
Okay.
good thing.
Okay.
It's got
Okay.
some Telltale-ish jank. There are some, like some rigid character animations. They'll kind of like clip you from scene to scene. You do a lot of walking where like the cameras are fixed. So like you walk into a new area and the cameras change, so you got to change like the direction on your controller and stuff to keep going. So there's a lot of that. So it's not, I don't want to say polished. I don't think polished is the right word, but it's just a little clunky in a way
enough.
like that.
Fair enough.
But the story's real good, and that's important because that's really what the game is. It's a story-focused game. It's a walking simulator, story-focused game. It's just, I don't want to spoil it, but I want to give something to entice somebody to try it. It's really like mature and
like
adult.
Okay.
In a way that like it deals with several different themes about relationships and things like that I never expected. And at the same time, there's like some supernatural stuff that's exciting.
You're giving me like, I don't know, the vibes of like I'm trying to summon the game that I'm like you're giving me vibes of. Not gameplay wise, just
Sure.
I don't know. I like games that do that. I like that games that are willing to broach, like, yes, it's a video game, so we have this kind of supernatural layer, but I like games that are willing to broach into more nuanced storylines.
Yeah.
Let's say
It's
like,
not,
you know what I mean?
It's more than I was expecting. I was expecting like maybe like a tell me why, like a somber kind of dramatic type of thing. This is more of like maybe something more akin to like an espionage.
Oh, that layer. Okay.
Supernatural, like Men in Black kind of weird thing. And it's like, I'm only through the first stories of all the characters and the prologue, but already through that, like the hook, like I want to see what happens. Like all right, cool. Like I'm interested. Even like the gameplay it is what it is. It's not, I don't want to say it's not good, because like what it's doing fine, but it doesn't do much. There's not a whole lot to do there on that regard. It's like some minor puzzles and stuff, like, again, Telltale-ish type of stuff.
This is giving me Kentucky Route Zero vibes.
Yeah, it's probably a really good one to go.
This is giving me the vibes of something that is telling a bigger story.
It's not creepy,
right?
But there's something afoot, and I want to know what it is.
That's the way I felt going through Kentucky Route Zero. I'm just talking about vibes, not like the same story or the same kinds of characters, but like games like that add that layer of weird over top of a normal life thing. I'm way about, because I feel like that's like a great book can do that. That's artful. I'm in for this. I'll play this. I'm excited.
It's real good. It's on Game Pass.
Oh, baby. Let's play on Game Pass.
I'm going to finish it before,
Before what? Before what? There's nothing else
The
out
Ascent.
yet. Oh, right. Oh, crap. Is that this week? Is that?
It's tomorrow.
The 29th? Oh, no.
It's tomorrow.
Oh, I do have... My kid wants to play Gears of War with me. My 11-year-old. I don't know where to start. I don't know if I should start at the first game or start at 4. What do I do? 4? I'm going to start at 4.
I think that's okay. You can fill them in the backstory. They don't really need to know. Yeah. You don't really need to know the backstory at all, actually.
Yeah, he wants to play Gears, and I don't want him to like be like, this is annoying. So I think we're going to do 4. So Game Pass continues to produce wonderful things. So you're playing, again, it was called The Last Stop.
It's called Last Stop.
Correct.
It's kind of, what's that other game? Not the...
You're going to have to be more specific.
Not After Party, but like the one before that.
Oh, Oxenfree. Oh, God,
kinda like
yeah.
that.
That game is so good.
Kind of like that.
Okay, all right.
But like
I said, it's a normal life event with weird underneath of it. That's the kind of stuff I'm way about.
Yes, and it is a normal
that.
life event, and that's actually, I'm glad you said that, because there's like an Office Space moment in one of the chapters where you're like smashing a printer and you're on like customer service line, and I was like, this game is something else.
Yeah, like Kentucky Route Zero has a moment where you go to visit an office. This is maybe a minor spoiler. I don't remember what chapter it happens in. It's a very funny moment. You go visit this office, and there's like, you get on the elevator, and there's all these floors, and you're trying to go get some paperwork filed, but there's a floor that's just like bears. And if you go to the floor that just says bears, it's just stuffed bears. And you just walk through. Like, that's the kind of weird I'm here for, right? Like, I need to go file paperwork, but bears.
Yeah.
Just bears.
I think you'll like it. I wouldn't have bought it.
This. Yeah.
I wasn't planning on buying it. I honestly, when they first showed it, I didn't think it was coming to Game Pass. But now it's on Game Pass, and downloaded it, and I was like, let's try this out. And now that I've tried it, I want to play it. I want to finish it.
I'm in. I'm gonna download Last Stop. I'm in. I continue to work through Resident Evil also, but like I do that in fits and starts because I'm a giant baby and it got scurry. So it's just, I did, however, make a joke on social media because I have these kombucha bottles that look like the first aid med, right?
Yeah, they do.
Right. So I made a joke. I wonder if this will grow a hand back. And my husband was like, that didn't happen. I'm like, oh, sir, let me send you a YouTube clip. And he watched it. He's like, that's freaking awesome. I'm like, it's so stupid. Like, yeah, hilarious. He's like, he just reattached I'm like, yeah. Video games are super dumb, y'all. They're dumb, but they're good. All right. Speaking of good. In the last week, we got some more news about Forza Horizon 5. Speaking of things I'm so looking forward to. They dropped details about the different biomes, of which there are 11. 11.
Aplenty?
Biomes aplenty. I'm here at Biomes R Us. Which one would you like?
It's my little Minecraft pun.
So bad. All right, so check it out. They have Canyon, Tropical Coast, Rocky Coast, 2 different coasts, y'all.
Yeah.
Farmland, Arid Hills, Jungle, Sand Desert, Living Desert.
What's that? It's like zombies?
Yes. Yes, Night of the Living. That could say
How
Living
great
Desert.
Would that be in Forza? Like a zombie? Like, oh man, that'd be
only
good.
if it's like the achievement in the first Dead Rising that you get for killing 10,000 zombies, but have like, I want a F-150 with like a snowplow on the front.
I want the Dawn of the Dead truck with like the saw blades on the side and everything.
Plow through zombies.
Man, like an Undead Nightmare Forza pack sounds really good, actually.
I need to make a call.
Yeah.
God. Phil!
That's real good. This is an amazing idea we just had, Elaine.
Screw Hot Wheels.
They should have Halloween DLC. Well, both.
Dude, what if it's Dia de los Muertos there, but zombies.
But then, yeah.
I want
John Marston come back, Rockstar time, we can go places.
I want wraps for the cars that are like sugar skulls. Like,
ooh,
that would be sick
that's
looking.
Good. Like, that's real good. Yeah. We should have that anyway.
I gotta make some calls.
Yeah.
Gotta go. I have a straight line to fill. It'll be fun.
Could you imagine like a quarter mile where you were judged by how many zombies you killed before you finished it?
Look, I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Or like a jump where you just jumped into a pile of zombies. And
you have to jump over the pit of zombies.
Yeah, like the Dead Rising thing really fits. Like that could be really good.
I want to see what your engine can do. Let's see how many zombies you can throw at it.
Before it craps out. That's good. It's
really
good.
There were 3 more. There's Volcano, Swamp, great for zombies. Zombies love a good swamp, right? Mm-hmm. And essentially City. There's pretty pictures, and I'm so excited.
There were some nice screenshots. I actually really liked the swamp one, and I liked the Rocky Coast one. Yes,
I also like Tropical Coast, and I like the Volcano.
Yeah, Volcano's really good.
Come on, that's awesome. Like it reminds me. Anytime I hear a volcano, it reminds me of Wreck-It Ralph of the first with the soda volcano situation. Yeah, this game is going to be real good, and I'm real excited.
Yep, get excited.
I can't be more excited. I can't be more excited. All right, what else we got here? Shadow of the Tomb Raider very quietly got a 4K 60 patch, PS5 and Xbox Series X. And it's listed as Series XS optimized on Xbox. I have yet to play it.
At all?
No. I've played it.
Okay.
I mean, replay it. Shadow is the middle game of the 3, right? Or is that the first one?
No, Shadow's the last one.
Oh, it's the most recent one. It's the one I love.
Rise is the middle one, and Rise was my favorite, and Shadow was my least favorite.
Rise is my favorite.
I won't replay Shadow.
I would replay it to see it because it was pretty. I just didn't like her character and her writing in the last one. So
I did not like the plot. I think she was fine. The plot in Shadow I did not like.
It was fun to play though. I enjoyed playing it. It was a very eye-rolly.
I liked the, that was the one that had the big disaster cube.
Yeah.
Those were cool.
Yeah.
I like those. Those were visual effects. They added a little something, but I liked Rise way more. In the original reboot, I liked way more. Even saying it's my least favorite probably makes it sound like I'm higher on Shadow than I was. I was pretty let down on Shadow.
I liked it. I just the reboot is very special because it really blew me away.
I think for most people it is. Yeah.
Doubling back on it, less so. But at the time that thing dropped, I was like, they took a character that I genuinely disliked because she stood for something crappy and misogynistic and just like, ugh, and they made her awesome and likable and a good female character. Rise was my favorite. I think she had the best writing, and it was the best of the three stories.
I thought Rise was the most fun to play. I replayed the original one last fall.
Does it still hold up to you?
Yeah, I had a blast. I thought it was great.
Cool.
Yeah, looks amazing.
Cool. All three of those can be had in a pack, relatively inexpensive.
That's when I bought it. Yeah, that's when I replayed it. I bought that pack when it came out. It was like $17 or something.
I really think that's one of my favorite female main character trilogy games that you can play. She's just very good.
I beat Shadow.
I beat Shadow as well. I liked playing it. I just didn't like I said, I just didn't like the writing. The writing was crap.
In all seriousness, I really hated the ending. If the ending wasn't so bad, maybe I would be a little warmer on it, but the ending was super bummer for me.
This is a telling thing for me. It was I don't remember it, which means it was forgettable. And to me, a video game story that's forgettable is a throwaway. It frustrates me.
Yeah.
Don't make it forgettable, But glad that this thing has a patch. I might just check it out to see. I hope they optimize the other two. That would be lovely.
That would be cool. I'd go back to Rise if they optimize them.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, Rise.
I would.
Speaking of things that are getting updates, look, EA Play happened and it was kind of nonsense. However,
you guys watched it, right? I was working.
I watched it,
and I remember you guys going in the Discord, and I just kind of closed it. I was like, I can't work with all this going on.
I thought Austin Creed did a really good job.
Okay.
Of hosting it. He was a really fun host to listen to. He was very entertaining, even though I don't care about Battlefield and I don't care about sports.
What was that indie game that they showed?
The one about oh god, something random.
Did it look any good?
Yes.
I saw little clips of it and whatnot, but I still haven't watched it.
I'm very into the art style and the gameplay of that.
Okay. So maybe I'll go watch
it. Lost in Random is the title of the game. Lost in Random. I recommend people watch that trailer if you're into cute little indie things. It's got a Coraline vibe to it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Then I'll definitely.
Nightmare Before Christmas Coraline vibe.
Good stuff.
It's bad. It looks good. But they showed Dead Space is getting a reimagining, and I'm really excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a remake, but they're going to add a bunch of stuff to it.
So
they're going to change the plot a little bit, add some writing.
Jeff Grubb tweeted some insider notes. He said it's going to obviously get updated visuals. They're going to pull gameplay mechanics from the other games in the series and wrap them up in. And it's a full-fledged remake, slight reimagining of this first game. I'm of all the horror franchises, this is probably the scariest for me. Personally.
Really?
The first Dead Space game is butt clenching.
That's high praise.
It's freaking terrifying. Let me say this. It does things with audio that other games don't do as good of a job of, and having them have the 3D audio that they can use and the Dolby audio I'm gonna pee myself. It's gonna be bad. They do the thing in these games where they build the music and then they have all this clanging happening and then nothing will happen. And then you'll be like, cool, I'm fine. And then 10 seconds later, you're like, nothing is fine. Everything is bad. Oh my God, screaming, controller up in the air. They're scary, dude. I'm excited. I'm very pumped.
I don't remember being that scared, to be honest with you.
We've discussed this.
I watched lots of horror movies. That's
Right.
not uncommon.
I'm a baby, but I'm excited about this. I don't think we have a date yet. It's going to be years away.
Yeah,
it's
years.
probably 2023 if I had to guess. But
no golf, no NCAA, no nothing else. It's
that I
just Dead
saw.
Space.
No. Yeah, Dead Space was the sort of the closer. They did the indie. They showed some sports stuff, but it wasn't what you want. So
Now we need Clock Tower to come back.
we're getting
get
the other
Silent
one.
Hills
Fatal,
going.
We're getting Fatal Frame
We are getting Fatal Frame.
in October.
It's like
that
3 days before Halloween, right?
But yeah, it's like the 28th, and that's the Wii U game that was supposed to be very good, and I never played.
It is very
so
good.
I'm actually pumped.
I saw on Twitter, so I don't know if this is confirmed because I haven't looked it up, that it's digital only again.
I read that on Twitter as well, but I bet you could import a physical copy from another region and it will play depending on what region. Sometimes that happens.
I'm wondering if it's like digital only around the world.
That's a curious question.
Because that'll absolutely guarantee that I only get it on. I was like 90% getting on Xbox anyway.
Yeah.
But I was wanting to get like a cheap Switch copy at some point. But
I would buy a physical, like a limited run of that. Like I would buy like something, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Your webcam is going nuts on my end.
Oh, looks good for me. Stupid camera.
You should like look at 43 minutes. You should like at some point check that on YouTube. Like
Is it cool now?
It is, but it went like full on, like all lines, like TV signal went bad. Like it was crazy.
Great.
It was kind of funny.
Sick. All right. We're gonna move past. Talk to me about Halo.
Ooh, I honestly don't know how much to say outside of the fact that they're doing test flights this weekend. I did not get into them.
Neither did I.
And then I just lost my space. There's a lot of people that didn't get into them. So for those of you that are wondering, like, where's your invite if you signed it up for the flighting and stuff at the Halo Waypoint website, they said that they sent out their order of invites basically based on like seniority and long-time membership, in addition to like if you're a famous influencer. So if you're like
obviously.
a popular streamer influencer, like they want those people tweeting about it. So a lot of the journalists and folks that you would expect got in. And then, for those that have tested Halo before and have done it before, like they were given preference. I've been in the Waypoint test flight for a few years. I know I'm not the only person that did that, but here's the honestly, I watched some streams. You can watch it's being streamed right now. I watched some streams. It looks good, but to be honest with you,
looks good.
It looks like Halo.
Well, that's what did you expect?
Right, but like with with it only being multiplayer, to me, like all Halo is just Halo. Like
I see what
honestly,
you're saying.
if they hadn't told me, I would have been like, yeah, it's just the Master Chief Collection. like I wouldn't have known the difference.
We're gonna get so many angry tweets.
I know, but I'm not.
Make...
But I'm not the Halo. Right, we've been over this. I'm not the Halo person either. So I wasn't even the good person to be in the test flight.
No, and neither am I. I don't play multiplayer Halo. I like Halo.
Same.
I don't play multiplayer Halo. I love Halo's story, actually. Well, I did. Anyway, we're not going to do that today. I watched some streams. It looks good.
Yeah, it does. Like technically,
it looks better
good.
It looks better than I expected. So let's go. Hopefully this fall. So without too much drama.
And maybe they'll let other people in. So if you didn't get in, I'm sure. They'll keep doing this for a little while.
They gotta break it early or whatever.
Of course, you gotta make sure all their servers and everything are ready to go.
Ducks
services
in a row, T's crossed, I's dotted, butts clenched. This has to go well. Like this.
Yeah.
This one has to go well.
It's smart.
This can't be on fire. I agree.
You can't launch this on launch day and like it completely break all day and nobody can play. Like you can't do that. So this is smart.
They've already dug the grave. If they do that, someone's shoving them into it. It has to go well. This is it. This has to be perfect. So, all right. So let's talk about Microsoft in general. Then, when we're talking about things that have to go well, some numbers came out. Revenue numbers, subscriber numbers. They're mixed. They're not exclusively up. The gaming revenue is up 11% year over year. That's always good, right? That's great. There was a decrease in content and services revenue. This is where your Game Pass revenue and Gold revenue gets rolled up in.
Sure.
Game Pass has had growth, but the general category of content and services has not. So that's interesting.
Well, it's interesting that you could grow Game Pass and not make as much revenue.
Well, here's what I wonder. Is it stuff like Minecraft Realms that people are dropping off on? Is it stuff like gold that people are starting to drop
Sure.
off on?
There's lots of ways to explain it.
Yeah, there's DLC purchases may not be as up as they were last year. Lots of ways that this
And
happens.
this is revenue, not profit. So this isn't offset by like investment. This isn't because they
Right.
paid a bunch of money for MLB the
Right.
Show or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there is other good things though. Consoles hardware is up.
A bunch.
Hardware revenue increased by 172%. Obviously, these consoles cost more. They're selling every one they make,
Yeah.
right? Because
And they
chip
got a lot
shortage.
more in the pipeline this past month.
They've been pumping those things out. I've seen a lot of, anecdotally, I've seen a lot of consoles becoming available. People getting them.
There was a lot of speculation that they held them. They held them back in May so they could make them available in June to coincide with their E3 show. Like
I
maybe
would
they knew
believe-
their show was strong and they're like, we've got to have consoles.
I would believe that.
Be smart.
Just because and also that's when you're going to have a push. It just makes sense.
You want to capitalize not only on that, but you want to capitalize on any momentum you can. If people just generally, if more people are buying them, that is going to make other people want to buy them, or at least consider to buy them. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think it does make sense. I mean, I would believe it. I would also believe that it's not true and it's nonsense at the same time. I would believe it either way.
Satya
I really would.
Nadella also said that they're the fastest selling consoles ever, with more consoles sold life to date than any previous generation. So I do have a bone to pick with this.
Okay.
So they are adamant that they're not going to disclose numbers, and I really wish they'd stop talking about this. Their whole thing about talking about not disclosing numbers was the whole all it does is feed console wars and stuff on Twitter. And here's the thing. I won't go as far as saying they'll never outsell PlayStation, but the chances of them outselling PlayStation, which is what a lot of people really care about when it comes to this, is minimal. They've got to they would have to do a lot for a long period of time outsell PlayStation.
PS5 just hit 10 million, right?
Yeah.
In record freaking time. Come on.
Faster than the Wii.
Yeah, that's nuts. They're not gonna.
They have a built-in user base. But here's the also thing, as we've talked about all year long, they don't need to, and they've actually monetized their lower amount console base. We've talked about that. They've made that a strength with Game Pass.
I agree.
So it really doesn't matter. And I know people don't want to hear that because they like the way that it used to be. King who sells the most boxes wins. And for some business models that might be right. For Sony,
Nintendo,
for example, that might be right. Yeah, for Nintendo, their ability to attract third parties is solely dependent on their ability to drive hardware. It's not with Xbox. That's why they included PC. That's why they have Game Pass. That's why they're going cloud. It's just not their game anymore. So stop talking about it.
I agree.
I'm also upset that they didn't talk about Game Pass subscribers. In every earnings report they've done it for the last 2 years, they've given an update on Game Pass subscriber numbers, except for this one. So
let me tell you why that
makes me think they don't have as many as they were expecting.
Yes, that's exactly what that means.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that means. There's a reason. Nothing exists in a business bubble without a reason.
Yard in the chat says he heard 6.5 million. The reason that number is floating around is if you believe the CEO's words that it's their fastest selling ever, then 6.5 would put you slightly ahead of where Xbox One was, which also people forget the Xbox One sold great its first year too.
Yeah.
The Xbox One wasn't a total disaster. It sold really strong the first 12 months. So they haven't reached the point where they really have to drive hardware share yet, because Xbox has more than, say, 25 million fans. They're going to sell 25 million Series X's. So the question is, can their services and games and everything, can they push that install base to 60 or 70? That's when they'll have to push to get people to buy. They're going to sell 40 of these things just because there's 40 million people out there that like Xbox.
Sure. That's not the issue. The issue is, and I suspect that this Game Pass lull, where they're not getting the numbers, driving the numbers they think, I mean, they haven't really, yes, they keep adding new content, but they're not adding new ways to access Game Pass yet, right? They're not giving you the TV app yet. That's when they're going to start to see a bump. And I think their projections were pretty aggressive, so not hitting them doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't.
I just don't like if you're going to talk about it, then stay true to what you're going to talk about. I understand that it's probably smart. They're spinning, and I don't like that.
It's a spin.
I don't
No,
like
I
the
don't
spin.
like spin either.
Just own up to it. Like it's an earnings report. You know, say what it is.
Yes. Well, the problem is much like E3 and game, like it's become all spin and hype. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, it's an earnings report, but now they know that people like us talk about it on podcasts. So now it's got a spin. And that's just indicative of this industry. And that is a frustration of mine just overall, like across the board. I sometimes wish it was much more by the books. No spin. Here is your data. Here is your information.
And I feel like that's almost exactly what Nintendo does.
They do because they
come out and they're
swing
like,
it around.
Even during the Wii U though, they did the same thing and they didn't.
I know.
I remember those investor reports. They were like, the Wii U has sold 9 million units in year 5. I remember those reports.
But to Nintendo's great credit, it's very like, here's your data. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And I like that. I do like that. And I kind of wish everybody would just produce for me numbers.
To me, it shows like
confidence, Donnie.
Confidence is the great word. Yeah, I was going to say like it just shows that they're not so vulnerable. They don't feel so much pressure to be, to be looked at in a negative light. It's like, look, if I think the last time we were updated, they were at like 23 million Game Pass. Like maybe right now they're only at 24, 25, right? Like that's fine.
This is the equivalent of being the adult in the room who doesn't care what other people think.
I hate that Microsoft cares so much.
That
is a thing. That's going back to gold and everything. Like they really care what you say about them online.
They are an insecure teenager on the internet. Nintendo is the teenager who just does not care and is wearing all black and is just like, I'm the goth kid. Oh well, and just goes about their business. You know what I mean? And Nintendo is like the kid who's trying desperately to fit in with the cool kids. And it's depressing because you don't need to just find the niche and it'll be fine.
And I feel like there's a part of me that feels like they're probably smart because of it. Like they have a lot of smart people that are sitting there and they're like, let's make this look best for us. But like as a fan, I would rather them just commit to what you're doing, like believe in what you're doing. I think that's to me personally, that is actually almost how I define leadership. Set your course and go for it and do your thing. Don't waver, under criticism.
Yes, I think this is something Nintendo does exceptionally well across the board, even when it's not going well for them.
Oh yeah,
they have that big energy where they're just like, this is what we're doing, and I don't care if you don't like it.
We'll get you next time.
And they get them next time. Oh, we missed. But see, I think they have the best ability of all three companies to take the missed feedback and look at it critically and fix it next time.
Well, that's their business model. That's just their history. They're so volatile from console from product to product. They waver significantly, whereas everyone else is more even keel. They kind of have a space.
Nintendo takes more chances with weird. And then if it doesn't hit, they say, okay, and they strike one out. And if it does hit, they say, let's iterate this one.
Yeah.
And Microsoft does not do that. They don't take risks.
Look,
they don't take
this is all good news. Microsoft's making a lot of money. At the end of the day, and year over year, last year was a record-breaking year for gaming revenue, and this year they sold 11% more than that. So this year is now the greatest year that they've ever had revenue. Again, let me say that they've ever had. It's not like they're not looking back at the good old days of the 360 and be like, man, I wish we were doing that. No, they're still better than that.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Don't let the console war stuff. Like, if you love Xbox, don't let that stuff get you down. Because here's the truth of the matter is, all three companies right now are firing at a very successful clip, and we've never had that before in the history of the industry. And that is exciting. And it's healthy.
It's exciting. I would say the last shot we had at it was the Wii, PS3, Xbox 360 generation. The PS3 did hit its stride later.
That was also like 2 generations. There's like a first generation and a second generation to that.
I know. But that chunk of time
was really long. But you're right.
It was the last time we had this.
You're right. And I feel like that ebbed and flowed too, because like the first half, the Wii was worth owning. The second half, it really wasn't. And vice versa.
And that's kind of you get into that, especially as the cycles stretch. You know what I mean? But that's the last time we really got to see this much good.
All three of these companies are really firing. If you look at the history of gaming, the market's usually never been big enough to support 3 very successful at one time. Somebody usually takes a bath.
Well, that was a time when it was like not the cool kid thing to do. It has become a ubiquitous form of entertainment. it
true.
makes more money
Good
than
point.
movies.
That's what I've always said about the, like the dev costs and the pricing games and stuff. It's like more people are making more money than ever before.
They're making more money than movies. That
Hand
is
over fist.
a
The pie
compelling thing
is
to think about.
so much bigger than it used to be. It's a damn pie factory at this point.
Because everybody wants to play games.
Yeah.
And that's great. And we should be happy about that, because that's, as a kid who got picked on for playing video games, this is what I wanted. I wanted it to be normal, like, universal. And that's what we got. So this is exciting. It's exciting to have it be that way.
Yeah. Yep.
It's good. All right, one more little quick one. I'm actually excited about this story. Crosscode, a game. Crosscode is a game I really, really loved. Is getting DLC called A New Home. August 5 is the date for this. PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Switch. I would imagine it's also coming to PC. I can't imagine it wouldn't, but we'll see.
I'm sure it is.
The Steam version, yeah. 8 to 10 hours, huge dungeon, biggest one in the game. New enemies and bosses, new music, and a final chapter of the raid. I'm excited. This is great. This game, if you haven't played Crosscode, it can be had for $20 in most places. It was on Game Pass for a minute.
Yeah.
It's not now, but play. It will. The story goes places you will not expect, and it's again a layer of weird with a kind of layer of adult maturity over top of it. So
nice.
It's good.
Speaking of Game Pass, Grand Theft Auto 5 is leaving again.
Again?
It just I feel like it was just added, and here, okay, so another bone to pick. This was not in last week's Xbox Wire update. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's too big of a game to not leave on there. Like, they put out their Wire update of all the games that were coming, all the games that were leaving. This wasn't on there, and then like the next day, it just popped up in the leaving soon category. That's not cool.
Do we think that this means that they're getting that remaster ready to go? Like,
I definitely do.
Get news soon?
I also am pretty sure the last time they put GTA 5 up, it was only for 3 months. So that might just be like kind of what they're trying out. It's like these 3-month periods. But like, if that's it, like, let people know. Like, Grand Theft Auto is too big. It's too big of a game, like, in terms of stroke, and too big of a game in terms of the time it takes you to play to just take it away without a better announcement.
It's also like a decade old at this point.
Is.
Like, I don't, like,
it also is like number 2 best-selling game of the year.
Well, that's because online makes
of course,
money
but like it's still an extremely important game in the library.
No, it is, but you can have this game for pretty cheap. You can have it for cheap.
How much better do you think the remaster will be than like how I can run the game on PC?
That's a really good question.
It's gonna be like infinitely better, or like kind of better?
I think like kind of better. I think the cynic in me wants to say they'll make it just good enough to justify a purchase.
I hope so,
and not more.
Because I bought it,
and not.
I'm getting a new gaming laptop, Elaine. It's coming this week. And
which one did you get? What brand?
I got the Zephyrus G14 from Asus.
That's the Asus. Okay, I looked at that one.
It's got the 3060 in it.
I have a MSI Stealth with the 3060 in it that I really love.
It only has a 1080p screen, but I was thinking I could turn everything up to max and play Grand Theft Auto. And I was even thinking, I was like, I can just start playing it now, but I also know that it's I only paid like $7 for it or something.
Yeah,
but, but I know this remaster's coming, and I really want to replay this game again. I love GTA 5. We've talked about it before, but I want to play it like as best as it possibly can.
Just wait. Just hold on to your butt.
It really needs a big texture update. Like, that's what I want to hear. Like, I don't care so much about like the benchmarks and all that. It would be nice to be like full 4K and all that, but I really want to hear about like new textures and assets.
It's actually how I feel about Dead Space.
Yeah,
that's the thing about that game. Like it's muddy and it's like when you get up close, that's the thing I care about. Like it's still freaking scary and holds up. You know what I mean? From a gameplay perspective, I want it to look pretty. GTA 5 is also the same game for me. Same thing.
November. Hang on.
Let's go. All right, hit me with a question.
We have so many questions.
We have so many. You guys are awesome, and I really appreciate you. They know how much I freaking love questions.
There's so many questions.
Let's go.
Well, Annie Macro asks, Minecraft Dungeon just got its final bit of story DLC. Are you surprised it was supported this long, and do you think there's something different in the wings? I do think there's something different in the wings. Minecraft is too big to just be Minecraft.
Absolutely.
It can be spun off into 1,000 different little things. Am I surprised it was supported this long?
I don't think I am. I think they probably pitched this game with this plan.
Probably.
This is what we, this is, and Microsoft said, yeah, all right, it's a Game Pass game anyway. That makes sense.
They were probably hoping it caught on a little bit more.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really liked it for what it was. Playing with my kids.
They should have put the DLC in Game Pass. It's a huge miss.
I think that's a big miss. I think all DLC should go into Game Pass for
Minecraft.
First party. Yeah, for Minecraft.
It's a big Game Pass thing. Like if every Minecraft DLC pack ever was just in Game Pass, do you think how many Minecraft players would sign up for Game Pass?
Yeah,
there's probably a ton of Minecraft players that aren't signed up for Game Pass.
I think that the real benefit to playing Minecraft, actually, straight up Minecraft, is just going Realms. Like Realms is where it's at if you're going to do that. Unfortunately, so.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to take this next one from Adam. What do you think is game of the year so far, and what do you think it'll be come November? For me, right now, if I had to choose, it's Death's Door. Come November, it's probably going to be in contention with Forza Horizon 5. Those are my answers to this.
I think those are smart answers. I would say that I was 3 hours in, I was positively sure that it was Ratchet. And by the time that I finished Ratchet, I was like,
still Ratchet.
Technically.
Which is, yes, beautiful.
Incredible.
Right? Yes.
Like, best ever. Like, it's so good. Technically proficient.
The individual, it's gorgeous.
So good. But I found it to be, and I always hate saying repetitive, because I think every video game is repetitive. But Ratchet revisits a lot of places, reuses a lot of enemies. You do a lot of the same thing again. And I feel like it really needed a little bit more content.
Fair. That's fair.
And maybe just even differing, because you can slide around on the rails and stuff, but more or less it's kind of like a one-trick pony.
I mean, that's always kind of been Ratchet, and that's fine.
It'd still be on my short list. I was thinking that too. You're right, but I feel like the 2016 Ratchet had bigger areas to explore.
I feel like maybe that's because in 2016 it felt bigger than other games.
You might be.
You know what I mean? I think it's a matter for me. It's a matter of skill, and I haven't finished Ratchet, and it's still on my list to finish. But it's a matter of every video game kind of expanded in scale, and Ratchet still feels.
I remember from the
Ratchet.
original Ratchet. I remember doing a lot of climbing up a lot of things, going in water under things, more like a Spyro kind of hub.
Sure.
Whereas I feel like the new Ratchet's just like an arena for you to beat up stuff in.
I mean, I like that though.
But don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing stones at Ratchet. I'm just trying to prop up how much I really like Death's Door, because Death's Door exceeds it for me. Ratchet's still on my short list. Now, come the end of the year, Forza's absolutely a strong contender. Dying Light's not till December, so I guess it doesn't fit for this.
I'm ready for that game to be broken and break my heart. Is that terrible?
Oh,
Is that
no.
cynical? I'm ready. I don't know why. I have a bad juju feeling. I don't know why.
I'm anticipating playing that on my gaming computer first.
I really hope it's not bad.
I'm sorry, the original Dying Light. I bought it for the Steam. And I'm gonna turn up all the settings and play it on my computer before Dying Light 2 comes out. I don't know what else to.
I feel
Kenna?
Yeah. That got pushed by a month, right? That's September now.
October.
I think it's going to be a real
Far Cry.
Those games never make game of the year for me.
Last one did.
I liked 4 a lot and 3. I liked 5 as well. It's just that year was pretty stacked.
Came out there was a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have to really push something to be better than either Death's Door or Forza for me.
Forza's shaping up to be real good.
They're 2 different video games, and yes, I will totally pick a racing game as my game of the year if it's good enough.
Yeah, I did last time.
I have Forza Horizon 3 might have been my favorite game that year that came out.
Yeah,
that was mind-blowingly good for me, and it hit everything I wanted. Death's Door, I mean, for a game made by 2 people, it blew my hair back in a way that a game has not in quite some time. So
it's very good.
It's very good.
Very strong.
It really is. Yep. All right, your turn. What you got?
Oh, I wasn't even ready. All right, let's take TPR. You do such a great job of sending us questions, so I'm definitely gonna get through some of yours. So here we go. We've been hearing a lot about incoming director's cuts around the industry, but what games would you like to have streamlined cut? A game that is re-released without boring fluff, fetch quests you'd rather not appear, arbitrary level barriers removed. I don't like putting more than 40 hours towards a game's completion. A streamlined version would alleviate my qualms buying such a title. I personally think Assassin's Creed Valhalla to have such a feature. For Valhalla, I think the closest we got was Wrath of the Druids. So like if you could take a game and cut it into a very director's cut or streamlined cut, what would you do?
This is interesting, and the first game that leaps to my mind that did this very successfully is actually Wind Waker's HD version that cut the nonsense out of the back third of that game with the Triforce pieces.
Clean it up a little.
It shortened that game considerably.
They made you sail a little faster. They kind of fixed it up a little.
They just enough
to
make it feel perfect. Valhalla is definitely suffers from the bloat. It does, and I love that game deeply. But it's a lot. There's a lot of video game there. Like even just mainlining the story puts you over 40 hours. Like that's a lot of video game.
Makes me think of something else, but keep going.
Okay. That one's up there. I'm trying to think of what other games are just like too long.
Ghost of Tsushima.
I do not need those hate tweets. Why do you stir the people?
I'm not trying to stir the people. It's funny because obviously Devin, good buddy of mine, he absolutely loves that game. I absolutely love Valhalla. In so many ways, they're very similar games, but neither one of us love the other game as much as we love the first game. I've gotten into Ghost 2 or 3 different occasions, and I'm still not done with Act 1. It's like no matter what I do, I keep putting time into it, and I just not into it as much. And the reason that it hit me when you said Valhalla was this past week I went to go play Infamous. I replayed, if anybody's following me on Twitter, I replayed Last of Us. And I was like, I'm going to go play Infamous. And it hit me. I was like, I have Ghost. I don't play it. I should just play that instead because I've already beaten Infamous. And I'm not throwing stones. I really like Ghost. It just feels so big. Like it's so many fetch quests. There's so many like go here and get that. It's like I would really like to just speed up all of the story parts of this game.
Fair enough. I feel that way actually about I haven't played Ghost yet. I'm going to when the new content drops and that's my plan for that date. I think it's August 20th. Yeah, I want to say.
I was really excited about that, hoping that was Wrath of the Druids for Ghost. I wanted like a Infamous First Light's Ghost of Tsushima experience.
Yes. I love when games do a DLC that stands alone, like Infamous did First Light, that feels almost better than the base. Infamous First Light is actually one of my favorite pieces.
When it was like being rumored and everything, and everybody's like, they're going to come out. That's exactly what I thought it was. And Elaine, I was willing to pay $60 for it.
I loved that character and I loved that piece of content.
And maybe now
more than the base game.
Because I have to get back into it. I got to pick up where I left off, and I have to finish the first act before I can even try the DLC. Probably means I won't even do it.
Oh, so I can hear
that's the hurdle.
Having a conniption fit somewhere, knowing that you said that. He can feel that through the
Maybe
ether.
One day. I tried. Every time I try, I'm just like, how many? I don't know. Like, again, I think it's a really good way of putting it because, not every game's for everybody. And for whatever reason with I think it's the story or maybe just samurai stuff. I don't know. It's just
can be a
not
setting
getting
thing.
with me as much as like Valhalla does. But I actually don't even like, I feel like I don't like the combat as much as Valhalla, but I'm also more of like a brute force, mash and bash kind of.
That's a Viking vibe. But for me, like an open world game has to have a vibe I want to engage with. Then I'll engage with it for 80 to 100 hours. I generally like Valhalla, and I like the setting.
I've played a lot of Ghost. I played like 20 hours in Ghost, and I feel like I haven't scratched the surface.
I mean,
it's a big game.
This is a universal issue with open world games, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
They're so big that they're
game.
almost, they're daunting. You sit down to play it and you're like 100 hours in and you could just not have finished it.
The other game I would think of is like any Persona game.
I don't necessarily disagree. I actually think, for me, this is one of the reasons I like 3 the best. I think it was the tightest. In terms of amount of other stuff to do and length of the game. 5 is long.
I was super excited for Strikers and love Warriors games, and I quit on Strikers.
Really?
After the second
I've heard
dungeon,
good things about that
it's so long. Like,
some people have told me that it is a tighter, more focused experience than playing regular Persona 5, which made me excited because I played 5.
I wouldn't say that.
Interesting.
There are dungeons, and the dungeons are very, I mean, to use my good friend Garrett, like bland. There's a lot of
Fair
like
enough.
just
Fair
do
enough.
this and then you get to the
Well,
next cutscene, but it's a long go.
That's how Mementos felt in 5.
It's very Persona. Like that's the
yeah,
thing.
That is a Persona
the
thing. Right.
Is that
Yeah.
it's too Persona. Like the whole
That's
idea
fair.
of thus getting the Strikers effect. I was like, finally, Hyrule Warriors version of Persona.
Yeah, you
And
don't
it's
have the
not,
patience.
Though.
Okay.
It's Persona. It's a full Persona game
Yes.
with Hyrule Warriors combat.
So I feel like you already didn't like the base thing, and you were set up for failure there, or you had no
Probably.
patience for the base thing.
Well, I
That's the
thought
way
it was
to
going to
put
be
it.
like Hyrule Warriors. I thought it was going to be
Sure.
25 hour Persona story, and it's
No, that's
it's
not,
way
that's
more.
not how.
I mean, it's a legit Persona game. It's
Even
just,
the dancing games are long. Like,
yeah, it's
yes,
just like
yes.
instead of turn based, you get to press A lot, but it is
feel
a
like-
legit Persona game.
Did you play and finish Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
I did not finish it, but here's the thing: I played way more of that game than you would believe.
Well, it is Persona shortened.
Yeah.
It's like if you took Persona and compressed it.
I think
It
I
is
got
a 40-hour
through the
game. It is
third
shorter.
or fourth dungeon. Third. I'm pretty sure. In between the third, you do like the whole K-pop thing where you do the training and everything. And I got
Yes.
through the one after that,
Yeah.
and then the cutscene after that, and I think that's when I bounced.
I mean, that's
played a lot.
It's kind of like if you took Persona and compressed it in this particular way
Yes.
into a shorter. That's what Tokyo
I liked the
Mirage
game.
Sessions is.
I liked
It's
it.
great.
And it was good,
It's fantastic.
and but I couldn't finish it after so long. I couldn't finish it.
I'm trying to think of other games that fit this for me. I think you could take any open world game and fit it into this. You could. Oh, I'm gonna say it. People aren't gonna like it. I could put Breath of the Wild into this category.
Oh no!
I don't care. I think I want. I universally do not like Breath of the Wild as much as everybody else does, because I want my Zelda games to be tighter than what Breath of the Wild was. That's
Sure.
just the way I am. That's the way it is. Like, I think Skyward Sword is too long. I can't. I get what they wanted to do. It's
How
just
dare you,
not
Ryan
for
Turford.
me. Yeah, Brian, that's what's up. See,
How dare
Ryan
you.
agrees with me.
I
I think Breath of the Wild is great. I mainlined the story in that game because I got over it. I just got over it. So that's
here I am
one.
about
I would.
to play it and finish it for the third time.
My daughter has been through it 2 or 3 times. I want a mode in that game that just lets me drive the story through. That's a game actually that
I would
fit this.
actually
game.
hear your argument a lot if the story was worth it.
Well,
The story
that's
in
my
Breath of the Wild
other-
isn't worth it.
Okay, let me rephrase my point. I would like them to make the story more worth it.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
not
give
good
me a
enough to
limited
just
level.
mainline the
You're right.
story. You could do that in
That's-
YouTube in like 8 minutes.
That's why I have one of my many problems. with
Yeah,
Breath of the
that
Wild.
game is all about systems and stuff, and if you're not
I know.
there for it, like it's gonna be, it's a very divisive game that way.
Like I said, I don't hate Breath of the Wild. It's just it's definitely in my bottom
I wonder
half
how-
Zelda games.
I wonder if people would feel the same way about like this for like Fire Emblem. And I don't like speaking that to existence, but I'd be willing to bet there's a lot of people out there that would be like that might be a good answer. It wouldn't be my answer.
Isn't there a casual mode in that game that you can kind of breeze through some of the combat scenarios
It's
and
a
make
difficulty,
that game
yeah.
that
You
way
can
for
play it
you?
on easy,
Yeah.
I guess, but you're still gonna have to
Yeah.
play it a long time. You still have to
but I
go
think-
through all the battles.
I think for a lot of people that's actually the draw for those. I get you though. I hear your point to that.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, I knew if I said Breath of the Wild, people were going to get big mad at me. So you can send me your angry tweets. I don't care. I don't give a shit. That's
So you
not one of my
yelled at
favorite
me
Zelda
for
games.
Ghosts, and then you went after the Breath of the Wild people.
I didn't yell at you for Ghost. I agreed with you that open world games you have to like. Breath of the Wild is mine. Everybody else likes it. I just don't care. It's not what I come to Zelda for. So that is why that one could be trimmed for me.
Okay.
Just like Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda game. So
I started playing
and that
Breath.
was
Oh well, you've got a friend there because Wind Waker's my favorite Zelda game. But
my favorite.
I started replaying Breath of the Wild before Skyward Sword came out, and I stopped to play Skyward Sword. And I
did you go
played
back to Breath of
like
the Wild?
3 dungeons of Skyward Sword, and yeah, I'm ready to go back to Skyward Sword. Like that's
So-
where I'm now. I'm like, I'm just gonna go back to Breath of the Wild. Like it's
Yes,
just
this is it.
so much
This
better.
this is an Xbox podcast, but I will say that Skyward Sword is the only Zelda I never finished.
It's
The only one.
combat's just not
Not
very
my
good.
favorite.
It's not
It's
very good
difficult.
combat.
I think that was a good question.
It was.
I enjoy that.
Thank you,
question.
TPR.
See, TPR puts thought into the question.
There's so
Um,
so many sentences though.
I know, but I like the people who care enough to. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy, I'm gonna read Scott's. Do you think Netflix getting into gaming will push Xbox to make more Game Pass deals and acquisitions? I think it will push them to accelerate getting an app onto TVs.
I think that's true.
That's what it will do, because Netflix is just dumping this into an existing app that's on everybody's television set, and that's what Microsoft really wants to do. And I feel like this will like maybe nudge them to accelerate that faster.
I don't push the word push in the sentence gives off the connotation that they're not already trying to get deals and acquisitions, and I think they already are, and I actually think they're being very aggressive. So I would disagree with Scott, but also just to not that I'm wanting to disagree with you, Scott, but just to make a point, Netflix is like focused on mobile and stuff right now. They're gonna do like interactive Netflix games.
Yes.
They're not there yet. I think they will be though. I do think there's the very likelihood that they could get some sort of Castlevania or Witcher spin-off thing. You think like a Telltale-like thing in a Netflix, like that makes a lot of sense.
They already did it. They did it with Bandersnatch. Was it Bandersnatch? Was that the Black Mirror thing? I played that. You know, that's that almost FMV. They could do a lot of crap there.
Yeah.
And they have deals in place. I don't think this nudges Microsoft to change their acquisition strategy.
No, neither do
I. It maybe makes them go, oh boy, we actually need to get this.
Their acquisition strategy is. It's hard to say bigger than Netflix because they're real big, but their acquisition strategy was already a full bore. You're talking about a company that's acquired like 13 studios in 4 years. Like there's no more aggressive than that. We've never seen. Actually, that's honestly the best way to answer. We've never seen a more aggressive strategy in the history of gaming.
Correct. Yeah, I don't think this puts pressure on their acquisitions. I think it potentially puts pressure on them being like, yeah, okay, we need to get our TV app out there faster. Like, we need to get onto more devices faster. Because Netflix has a huge built-in base that they can leverage.
If Netflix wants to go for a specific property, maybe Xbox.
Right, yeah, but I don't see them doing that. Netflix
They're not going to buy Castlevania. They can't buy Castlevania. I mean, they can, but they're not going to.
They like to make their own properties. They like to generate their own ideas, which, to their credit, has been good for them.
I think they'll do a lot of tie-in stuff with it because they're like leading into the gaming. So like I definitely could think they'll do like a Witcher interactive experience, but here's the thing, it just won't be what's their faces?
No, it won't be CD Projekt Red.
Thank you, Project Red. I kept thinking Project X, Project Red. It won't be them.
It's going to be like we'll make a deal for the rights based on the show.
License something. The same thing they'll do with Konami.
Yeah, based on the show, not based on the game property. So they're going to leverage an existing deal they have. Very smart, actually. All right, what else, Donnie? Your turn. Pick one. We got a couple more minutes here.
Yeah, we do.
We got all these questions. We got to answer them.
Yarden, since he's been in the chat tonight, ignore this if there's already a definitive answer. Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are timed PS5 console exclusives. Is it possible that these could be released on day one on PC Game Pass? I think this is kind of interesting and could make exclusivity not such a big deal. I don't know if it's been definitive, but I almost certainly assure you that is not the case. I think PlayStation is doing business in a sense that exclusivity to them means not Game Pass. I think it potentially could release on Steam same day, but you're going to pay full price for it.
Yes. I think that when they negotiate exclusivity, it means their console and potentially Steam. That's what it means. And that's fine. And it is releasing on Steam, I believe.
I think so too. I think Deathloop, it's at least releasing on PC. I don't know if it's Steam or like Epic or something maybe.
I could fact check this, but I'm lazy.
Yeah.
It is definitely coming out on PC because I've seen it up on Green Man Gaming with discounts. So I can almost definitively say
Are you getting Deathloop?
Absolutely. I have it pre-ordered for PS5.
Okay.
So I just dig the vibe of that game.
I will get to it. I just don't think I have the time to get to it this fall.
Well, it's coming out in September, and for me, that's a spot that fits nicely because once Forza comes out, go away.
Sure.
If you're not Forza, I don't want to see you.
We were talking about it in Discord earlier. I've got 10 or 12 games coming out from like August to November.
It's getting very stacked for me too. This is the problem because people are like, how do you have that many games? I'm like, I like all genre of video games. Yeah. It creates a problem for me. Well, there's always a game.
We're the whale consumer in that regard. But yeah, I mean, there is almost a game, like I'm almost like there are 2 weeks at a time. It's like, you got to beat the game or move on. And it's going to be so Far Cry and Metroid come out like on top of each other.
I have a lot of feelings about that.
It's going to be real difficult.
I will probably just cry because
I'm just gonna like do one day and do the other one the next day. I don't know how to do that.
I'm gonna play Metroid until it is done. That is by far and away my favorite Nintendo property. And
Ooh,
I will
wow.
buy and play it. Yep.
Wow.
It's you know what? Being a little kid who's a girl at a time when video games were all about boy stuff,
Sure.
and having the main character be revealed as female at the end of that
It's a
first
big
game,
deal. I remember that.
locked that crap right in.
I
my
remember
brain.
the reveal. Like that was a kind of
It was
a
all the boys at school were
impressionistic.
so mad.
Really?
You know, like,
Mad?
Yeah, they were mad because they thought that this was a big bad.
And even when I was
scary
little, I was
boy.
like, Samus is hot.
Yeah, well, yeah, like yeah.
I was like,
me
Samus
too.
is
Weird.
awesome.
Weird. There's things I should have known about myself as a kid. It's just- it's the only Metroid game that's ever truly disappointed.
I think
me
I
as other
replaced
M.
Diablo with Kenna today because Kenna's probably
Okay.
more my jam, and I'll probably
will-
wait on Diablo.
I will play both. I make bad choices.
But then I've got games
It's-
that I wasn't even counting. Like I got Wario and Mario Party that are in there. Like I'm gonna get those. Yeah.
I sometimes don't mentally count Game Pass games.
So
too.
same
Like,
because you're not
the
buying them.
Ascents, because I'm not buying them. So
Yeah.
oh crap, that's out this week.
Like
oh,
Forza
no.
and Halo are in there.
Just so many video games.
And then when Dying Light comes, like who knows? I might play Dying Light for 2 months.
Or you might play it for 2 minutes.
Of course, that's
sorry that I'm being. I'm
that
sorry.
exists
I
as
can't-
well.
I'm sorry.
You're so pessimistic. Let me
I'm-
believe.
I'm afraid to believe.
I gotta
because
believe.
I'm afraid to get my heart
Well,
broken.
if anybody's listened to me for a long time, that's just the ride that I go on.
I
It's
know,
gonna be the
you-
greatest
you-
thing ever until Mario Golf rips my heart out.
This was a hard fall from grace. This was hard to see. I can't see it again. You went through a thing. Like I just. Oh.
We'll do it
when
again.
people started pulling out their 3DSs to go back to that Mario Golf, I knew it was bad.
Speaking of
So,
which, Shack Tournament, you can play now. Lunch Club. Check my
Hang
Twitter.
hang out. Want to do one more question?
Sure. I don't know how long we've been going.
More? I don't know. It's close to an hour and a half. We'll do one more question. Let's see. Boy, we have options. Do you think? All right, this is Rob7Fan12. I like this question. Do you think we'll see another Ori game this generation? I want a third one because I like them. Do we need one? No, but I want one.
My heart says no.
Your heart says no, or your brain says no?
Both.
Really? You don't think that you logically do not think they'll make another one, and you don't want another one?
They got invested. They didn't get bought, but they got invested into by a publisher that I can't remember at the time. Now it's like the Interactive Collective or somebody like got them for a little bit. So I'm almost sure that they're making something else.
Yeah,
I don't think they
yes.
would have been invested into if that wasn't at least like a multi-project plan. Which makes me, I've often thought that like if Ori was going to be something that existed, then Microsoft would have bought them. I mean, Lord knows they bought State of Decay. Like,
Yeah. Yes.
it's not like they're not buying things that are beneath them. Like they're buying anything and everything that they want. And I'm sure
Yeah.
they tried, which makes
Yeah,
me
yeah, they
think
might have tried.
makes me think they don't want to do Ori. Does that change in the future? Maybe.
Well, maybe if their next project misses,
Maybe.
they go back to the well.
And if they are even still together and it's a small studio, like there's a lot of variables there.
Yeah. I
Don't
think
know.
My brain says, well, I'm good. I haven't finished Will of the Wisps. I'm working my way through that. That's the other game that I've kind of been poking at.
That was my game of the year.
And I'm gonna finish it. Don't worry. I
I
love
was
it.
so mad that the Game Awards wasn't even recommended. It wasn't even considered.
Yeah.
That
it's
hurts.
too bad. That was too bad.
If they do
because
that
it
to
is
Death's
exceptional.
Door, like I'm out. Like I just cease to even watch anymore.
That game is real special for me. And Will of the Wisps is very good too. And I get the impression from what people have told me that it ends and it feels ended. And that's
That's how I
all
felt.
I,
when
that's
it
all I
ended.
ever really want.
I also
If
don't
it-
like Ori is like top shelf as close to like perfect. And I know the gaming
Yes.
zeitgeist talks a lot about like perfect game, 10 out of 10, like what that means. I'm
Yeah,
not talking
yeah.
about score. I'm talking about collectively. Ori and
Right.
the Will of the Wisp to me
Experience.
is
Yes.
perfect.
You are not alone in that sentiment of it being either perfect or very near perfect. And having played a good chunk of it, like it's hard to disagree.
Be hard to top it.
Well, that begs the question: does a sequel have to top it? Does a sequel to any game have to one up the game before, or can
question.
it serve as an
discussion.
extension and a stretch? Right? Like
My answer
think
with Last of Us 2 is that sometimes it might be better enough to leave well enough alone.
Well, that's the argument. Like, how far do you try to go, right? And is it worth it?
Sure.
To me, if you reach for the stars and miss on a sequel, it's almost worse than if you don't stretch far enough.
That's where I am.
Personally,
Yeah.
I would rather you. I don't want. It's almost brutal to say stay in your lane, but I would rather you stay in your lane. I think Ori reached and pulled it off, but the base experience of that first Ori game left something to be desired there. They had the room to move. The Last of Us was real freaking good, and they went too far.
And I don't want to talk about. I don't want to go on a tangent about The Last of Us, but I think I want to use that to make a call here. There are certain games that are clearly sequels.
Yes.
That leave off for sequels to be had. I actually never
agree.
thought that The Last of Us was that. It definitely has a cliffhanger, but like it felt like ended. I liked the open ending. I enjoyed because it allowed for speculation and whatnot, but it felt like that's the end.
But you can't have a game that's that big of a critical success and not.
That is always the hard part, because you have a built-in IP that will always sell more the second time. You have a built-in value, like you have a built-in customer. Like video games can't stop themselves from doing that. It just makes too much financial sense.
But going from 2 to 3 is where I find most of the problems happen. So Dead Space is an exceptionally good example of this. 1 and 2, this is an aliens conversation.
Yeah.
The third one is not good, right?
Yeah.
I don't like.
Yeah.
This is Dead Space has the same problem. You get to 3 and you're like, you didn't need to do that. You did not need to. You went too far.
What about Mass Effect 3?
No, see, well, I had problems with the ending, and 2 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Because the second one, they just kind of make the best version of the first one.
And with the exception of the final boss fight being ridiculously stupid, it had one of my favorite ending sequences and one of the most impactful in terms of losing and keeping characters in a game in forever.
Yeah.
And so in Ori's situation, you nailed it. Do you go back and risk it? I wouldn't. I actually don't want them to. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
it's exceptional.
And that was the point I was trying to make. Ori 2 didn't leave me feeling like a sequel was warranted, whereas Gears is a sequel game. And I don't say that just because of it. Like, it's clearly from the first, like, it's clearly a sequel game. Like, they're setting up side characters and side stories to pay off down the road. It's clearly evident.
I would argue, actually, that of the original trilogy, Gears 3 is my favorite. They pulled off the third game.
Gears 3 is my favorite.
They pulled off the third game.
Gears 3 is
exceptional. Almost
so
perfect.
Damn good. That's the one they need to remake.
That was the... Yeah.
They should have just remake them all, but definitely
those
Gears
first 3. Not Judgment. Can we just throw that one away? So Judgment was the one that they didn't need to make. You see? They did it. They went one step further, but it was the fourth game. It was a prequel, but whatever. Sure. Like, Ori, I think, is the game that they nailed.
Yeah.
Every series has a game they nail, and when they go one step further, it's never
I'd leave it alone.
Good.
Don't touch
it. Alone.
It's perfect. Leave it alone.
This question ended up being better than I thought it would be because of this discussion. Yeah, don't touch it. Just play Will-O-the-Wisps, though.
It's perfect.
It's really good.
Let them make a different, similar type thing.
Just
not Ori, but like a similar style game. You want to pay them to make a similar style game? Absolutely, Microsoft. Give them all the money. But
they make
Ori.
They make a great precision platformer.
Oh yeah.
Let them make more.
Metroidvania, they kill it.
They make it. It's precision. It's not like mashy. They make an exceptional one of those. Let them make more, but not another one of these. A new world,
new IP,
new writing, new story.
New stuff.
Let's do it. I think we're good here, man.
It's pretty good.
This was a good show. I think that's gonna do it. Before we sign out and rock and roll here, let me give a shout out to our Patreon on-air producers. Thank you to everybody who supports the show at any level on Patreon and any level anywhere else on Twitter and Discord. Y'all make my day whenever you send nice tweets. Just so you know, I'm ET Dragon on Twitter. He's Eat the Hype. I'm not telling you to send me nice tweets. I'm saying when you do, it makes me get all smiley and ridiculous. It's delightful. The internet can be a nice place, Donnie. It's not all.
I wouldn't know.
Well, you start crap with people and then don't explode.
I don't have Chalfie coming out of the blue being like, "You're awesome."
That's because you flip over tables and give people the middle finger. So, like, more hugs, less drugs, kids. Like, that's all I'm saying. All right, shout out to our producers while Donnie stews on that. Michael Masick, Edwin Callow, Stephen Keller, Nick Creature, Ben Moxham, Nick Fallhaber, Paul Calicote, Kyle Heyman, Devin Tyus, Josh Bourbon, RJ Kern, Horse Girl 69, Zach Adams, and Joe Wilson. Thank you, folks, as always. You got anything else, Donnie?
I'm good.
I think I am too. So, y'all, until next week, play some video games.
Peace, folks.